Hi everyone, it's Jennifer from Fiberflux. In this video, I'm going to show you how to crochet this really pretty jelly jar cozy. This is just a sleeve that you can slide a jelly jar into, and whether you use this for food or jelly or even to put buttons in or whatever, it really makes your jar extra special, and if you're giving it as a gift, it adds to the gift as well. So I am using these are jelly jars made by Ball, the Ball brand, and this is a shorter one. They come in a taller size. You can use any jar you want really, and I'm going to show you how to customize it for your own jar. But in case you're wondering, these are the jars. They're called the quilted jelly jars, in case you're wondering. So I made one for this really tall jar, and we're going to make one for this shorter jar in this tutorial. So for this project, you're going to need some cotton dishcloth yarn. I just grabbed a few colors I had on hand. This one that I have finished here has all of these colors plus a kind of a bright green added also. But you can really use any colors you like. You can make yours in 1 color, 2 color, 20 colors, whatever you like. You'll also need a 5mm H crochet hook, a tapestry needle to weave your ends in, and a pair of scissors. We're going to start by crocheting the bottom, and then we're going to work our way up, and then as an option we can add this pretty scallop to kind of finish it off. So let's get started. The base of our jelly jar cozy is a solid color. So the first couple of rounds we're going to make for the base are going to be 1 color. So you can pick any color you like. I'm going to change things up a little bit, I'm going to do this blue color. Now we're doing the shorter jar. Now these jars, I just wanted to point out, they're about the same size, roughly, on the bottom, and then they are obviously different heights. So to begin our base, we're going to put a slip knot on our hook. So to make a slip knot, wrap the yarn around your fingers to make a loop, bring the yarn behind the loop, reach in with your crochet hook, and bring up a loop, and then tighten onto your hook. Next, we're going to chain 4. To make a chain, wrap the yarn around your hook and bring it through the loop. That's 1, 2, 3, and 4. We're now going to make a ring that we'll be working all of our stitches into the center of. So in the chain farthest from the hook, you're going to insert the hook into that chain and bring up a loop. Now bring that loop through the loop that's already on your hook, and you now have a ring. So what you can do is kind of open that up a little bit so you can see where to work your stitches. And this tail that we have here, we're going to hold along the edge as we work, and that will weave that in as we go along and save you a step in the process. So let's start on the first round. We're going to chain 2, 1, 2. Then we're going to work 11 half double crochets into the center of the ring. To make a half double crochet, wrap the yarn around the hook, insert it into the center of the ring, bring up a loop. Wrap yarn around the hook, bring it through all 3 loops on your hook. Just like that. That's the half double crochet stitch. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4. Again, I'm holding this tail in as we go along. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. Now what I like to do before I join this to close the round, I like to double count my stitches that I just made. So this was our chain 2 here. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So those 11 half double crochets plus that chain 2 will count as one of our half double crochets. So you'll have 11 plus the 1 makes 12. So 12 spokes on your wheel of this first round. So then what we're going to do is join with a slip stitch to close our round. So insert where you began, bring up a loop, bring that loop through the loop already on your hook. We've now finished the first round. So then what I like to do, and you can say this till the end, but I like to do this at this point, is take this tail, pull it tight to close up that center hole, and then just trim. That way that tail will be out of the way while you work. Okay, so the next round, round 2, we're going to chain 2 again. So chain 2, and then we're going to work in the first stitch, we're going to work a half double crochet. And then in each stitch after that, we're going to work 2 half double crochets. Because this chain 2 counts as one of them, we're only working 1 to that first stitch. So in the next stitch, work 2 half double crochets, all in the same stitch. The next stitch, work 2 half double crochets, 1 and 2. Next stitch, 2 half double crochets. So all the way around, 2 half double crochets in each stitch. So what we're doing right now is we're building the bottom of our jelly jar cozy, the base that it will sit on. Okay, so again, 2 half double crochets in each stitch. I'm going to continue around, then we're going to rejoin in just a moment. I'm going to continue working my half double crochets. So I'm just finishing up the last stitch of this round. Again, we work 2 half double crochets in each stitch. Then where we began, we'll join with a slip stitch to close the round. So the second round is complete, and we're going to put one more round on this to make the bottom. So you can kind of test it as you go along. If you sit your jar on top, you can see we still need a little bit more width on our bottom. And what you can do, if you have a tiny jar, you can skip the next round. If you have a jar with a larger base, you can just add more rounds. So we're going to work the next round to make our base just a little bit wider. So to work the next round, what we're going to do is chain 2, 1, 2, and then we're going to work in the first stitch, we're going to work a half double crochet. And then in the next stitch, just grab a little more yarn here. The next stitch, we're going to work 2 half double crochets in that same stitch. 1 and 2. The next stitch, we'll just work 1 half double crochet. So we're going to repeat this sequence all the way around. 2 half double crochets, 1 half double crochet. 2 half double crochets, 1 half double crochet, all the way around our circle here. Okay, so I'm just going to continue that sequence, 2 then 1, 2 then 1, all the way around in each stitch. And again, we'll rejoin in just a moment once we're coming around to the end of the round. So just work 2 half double crochets, then 1 half double crochet, all the way around. So I'm just coming up to the end of the round to finish. Then we're just going to do the same thing. Join to close with a slip stitch where we began. Okay, so our circle is nice and flat. It's not curling. So we're not going to fasten off yet, but I am going to pull the hook out for a second and just show you. I'm going to flip it over to the back side and then just set your jar on there. So this is what it looks like when it fits nicely. See how we have just a tiny bit of overhang around the edge? That's great, because what we're going to do is we're going to start building up the walls of our jelly jar cozy. So this little bit of overhang will give us just enough space to get these sides built up. If it's too small, it'll kind of pull at the bottom and slide off. So if we do have a little bit of overhang, that works especially well. Okay, so let's continue. And like I said, we're going to start building up the sides. So at this point, you can change colors. And what I did was I just did one round of each color. Now you can do more of a color block. You could do half in one color, half in the other color. You could do 2 rounds of each color. So definitely, you know, get creative and do whatever you like. So what we're going to do is, I'm just going to pick any color, doesn't matter which color. We're going to cut the blue, this point, and we're just going to fasten it off. So to build our sides, we're just going to tie this pink on. It doesn't matter, any stitch around, it really doesn't matter. But you are going to get a seam, so try and keep it where you left off. That way your jelly jar just has one seam and not all these lumps everywhere. So we're just tying the new color right on, nothing fancy. Now, if you have a way you prefer to join yarn, you know, definitely feel free to do that. I'm just going to tie it right on. Okay, so what we're going to do is we have our tails, and we're going to weave those in as we go along. So what you want to do is reach in with your crochet hook where you tied the yarn and bring up a loop. Okay, then we're going to chain 2. 1, 2. Now, if we go back to our jelly jar cozy, you'll notice there is a little bit of a decorative kind of ridge. You can work, our sides are going to be half double crochet stitches as well. You can do regular half double crochet stitches and that will look very pretty as well. But if you want this decorative ridge like I've done, we're going to work into the back loops only. And I'm going to show you how to do that. I also have a video and I will link that up if you want to practice that a little bit, if you've never done it or you want more of an in-depth understanding of what that means. But I'm going to show you how to do it really quickly, but I'll also link that up so you can have access to that video as well. So let me just get a little bit of a yarn here. So what we're going to do is, if you look at our stitches, you see they're little V's all the way around. What we're going to do is work into the back loops. So it's going to leave this front loop unworked. And that's how you get these ridges. These little ridges are actually the front loop that you haven't worked into. Okay, so we chain 2. So we're going to work a half double crochet into the back loops only. So just wrap yarn around hook. Now insert it into kind of in between there, leaving that front loop. And also I'm incorporating my ends here. And then bring up a loop. Wrap yarn around hook. Bring it all through all 3 loops on your hook. Just like that. So it'll kind of, see how you can see that front loop is still there. And as you work the round, it'll reveal more. It'll make more sense. Okay, so we're just doing this all the way around. 1 half double crochet in each stitch in the back loops only, leaving these front loops. Okay, so you're just going to go all the way around with our new color. And striped projects are a great way to use up some scrap yarn. If you have made some other dishcloths, maybe you have some colors left over, some small pieces, it's a great way to add some yarn scraps into your work and not waste anything. Okay, so we're just working half double crochets into the back loops. Let's stop for a minute. You can see that really pretty decorative ridge starting to show. So I'm going to keep working half double crochets into the back loops. And I wanted to show you, I've incorporated my tails. So I don't have any more tails I'm dealing with. So we're just working all the way around. So I'm going to keep going. And then we'll rejoin towards the end of this round, and I'll show you how to work the next round. So I'm just coming up on the last stitch that we need to work on this round. And then we're going to join like we've been doing with a slip stitch to close the round. There we go. Okay, so this round is complete, and you can start to see, again, the decorative little ridge we're creating by working into those back loops. And like I said before, you can just work regular half double crochets if you prefer the look of that more. Okay, so we're just going to fasten off with this pink yarn. Then we're going to join our next color, again, because we're working 1 round of each color. So I'm going to switch over to this bright green I have here. I wanted to mention also, I didn't do this in the first round, but I wanted to show you because we're working the back loops, we're creating this little ridge. You can also tie, when you tie your new color on, you can tie the color into the back loops as well. And that will kind of mimic what you're doing in the rest of the round, and it'll make it look a little bit more of a smoother transition where your color joins are. So just a little trick you can do. So we're just going to tie that on, and I'm going to tie this one into the back loops just to see we're leaving that little loop in the front. Okay? So to work the rest of the rounds, we're just going to be the pink row that we did, we're just going to repeat that row over and over and over until we can put our little jar in here, until our jelly jar cozy is as tall as we want it to be. So I'm just, with this green round, I'm just going to repeat what I did in the pink round over and over and over. So I'm just going to get us started, chain 2, and we're going to work half double crochets in each stitch all the way around in the back loops only, the same thing we've been doing. And these stripes are really pretty. So I'm just going to keep doing that. And then once we build up a little bit of height, we'll rejoin, and I will show you how to finish it off and how to add this really pretty scallop on here. So again, we're just going to keep repeating a half double crochet in each stitch, working into the back loops only. So I went ahead and worked more rounds, one color per round, and I'm just working this very last round. We just worked half double crochets in each stitch in the back loops only, same thing we've been doing, and then I'm just going to join this to close the round and finish up. Okay, so we just join with a slip stitch, excuse me, to close the round. I'm just going to cut the yarn and fasten off. And mine is the height that I'd like it to be for this shorter jar, and I'll slip it on to show you. You can kind of shape it up onto your jar here. Just kind of pull it up, get things nice and smooth like that. Okay, so now we're ready to add the scallop. You can leave this as is if you want. You can see how the scallop kind of comes up over the sides of the lid. If you want the lid to be completely showing, you can just leave the scallop off. I'm going to show you how to do it. So where we began, we're going to grab the next color that would be in our stripe sequence. In this case, it's the green. So let me get the pink out of the way. And this scallop little edge is super easy. All we're going to do is tie the color yarn on there that you would like. Just tie it right into one of the stitches. Just like that. Okay, so to make our scallop, I tied that into the back loops the same way I've been doing. So just bring up the loop of the new color and chain 3. 1, 2, and 3. Now in that same stitch, you're going to work 2 double crochets. So to make a double crochet, wrap the yarn around your hook, insert it into the stitch, bring up a loop. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the first 2 loops. Wrap yarn around hook, bring it through the last 2 loops. So work 1 more double crochet in that same stitch. Just like that. Then in the next stitch, I'm incorporating the tails also. In the next stitch, we're going to work a slip stitch. Just like that. Then we're going to skip the next stitch. And then in the stitch after that, oh, I meant to mention, I don't know if I did mention this or not, but we're going to work these scallops in the back loops also. And that will give it a similar look as the rest of the piece. So in the back loops only, work your 3 double crochets. See, this first scallop we did had the chain 3 to get the round going, get this edging going. So that counted as one of our double crochets. But for the rest of the scallops, they're going to be 3 double crochets. And we're going to work those in the back loops. If you don't want to work them in the back loops, that's fine. Next stitch, work a slip stitch. So we're doing 3 double crochets, then a slip stitch, then we're going to skip the next stitch, the stitch after that, 3 double crochets. So 1, 2, and 3. Now I'm going to go ahead and trim my tails just because they're getting in the way a little bit. I'm just going to take a little break here and just trim those. Okay, let's get a little more yarn. Okay, so we worked 3 double crochets. In the next stitch, work a slip stitch. That'll round, see how that rounds off that scallop? Kind of pulls it back down so it looks nice and rounded. Skip the next stitch. In the stitch after that, work 3 double crochets into the back loops, all in the same stitch. 1, 2, and 3. In the next stitch, work a slip stitch into the back loops, skip the next stitch. Next stitch, work 3 double crochets into the back loops. 1, 2, and 3. Okay, so you can see our scallop is starting to shape up a little bit, and it just adds a really pretty finished touch. So in the next stitch, work a slip stitch into the back loops, skip the next stitch. In the next stitch, work 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Next stitch, work a slip stitch, skip the next stitch. In the stitch after that, work 3 double crochets in the back loops. Next stitch, work a slip stitch into the back loops, skip the next stitch. In the stitch after that, work 3 double crochets into the back loops, all in that same stitch. Slip stitch in the next stitch, skip the next stitch. Stitch after that, work 3 double crochets in the back loops. 1, 2, and 3. Coming up to the end here, we're in the home stretch. Okay, so in the next stitch, work a slip stitch, skip the next stitch, and in that last one, just work your 3 double crochets. 1, 2, and 3. Then at the base of this next stitch, we're going to work a slip stitch to close the round, then into this first scallop, this chain 3 that we did at the beginning of this round, just work a slip stitch into that to close the round. So we did a slip stitch to kind of round off this last scallop, and then we joined with a slip stitch to finish the round and to close the round. Okay, so what you're going to do is cut the yarn. Our jelly jar cozy, we're done crocheting it. Now we're just going to do a little finish work to tidy things up a bit so you can kind of shape up your scallops that you've done. So once you've fastened off, you can take your tapestry needle, this very last tail that you have. If you wove your ends in along as you went along, you'll have less work to do at this point. You can turn it inside out and just weave it in one direction and stay in the green area or whatever color you're using. Stay in the same color area so that you don't have a tail going through that's a different color. Then we're just going to go back in the other direction. That'll help kind of lock this tail in a little bit and keep it, hopefully keep it from popping out. So just take your scissors, trim that off, and then turn it right side out, and you can kind of straighten up these little scallops if you need to. And then you can slip your jar on there, and it looks very pretty. So we have a large and a small, and the large I just simply worked more rounds. It's the same exact pattern, same exact scallop, it's just a little bit taller. I wanted to mention too, as an option, you can put a little flower applique, and I'll provide the link to on how to, I have a video on how to make these. They're super easy, just one round. You can sew one on to make it extra special, you know, just in the bottom or the center or whatever. And I just wanted to mention that too, because I actually happen to have these from another project, some extra ones, and I thought they looked super cute on these. So I'll provide the link to that if you want to just sew one on, or even use a little fabric glue and put that on there and make it extra special. So that is how you crochet a jelly jar cozy. Thanks so much for watching, and be sure and click the subscribe button to get all the latest Fiberflux video updates. Thanks again!